Dune have released some exclusive gameplay, and we get our first look at some proper gameplay of the brand new Dune Awakening game. So strap in, we're going to have a look at it and look at all the little details and things we missed in the preview. If you like the video, like it. If you love it, subscribe, and let's get straight into this lovely preview right here. So first, we're on the character creation screen, which is looking good so far. You can see you got different presets here, so you could choose to be like a Harkonnen or something preset, which is pretty cool from the Dune universe, and you can switch between which ones you would like. You can also change your height, arm thickness, leg thickness. It actually looks to be pretty advanced, this character creator here, as it also allows you to put in like vitiligo, which is kind of crazy. You also got some really nice hair going on here. You can adjust your nose heights and different things like that. It's super detailed, this character creator, in things you can do. You can adjust your age. You can even adjust the color of your eye whites to different colors, which is kind of crazy. The hairstyles are also looking really good. I love myself lots of different hairstyles in a game and opportunities. It looks like there's a good variation of short and long hairstyles, as well as there is makeup, tattoos, and lipstick shades you can choose in this game. So, you know, you can customize it quite a lot, which is what we love in games like this. Moving on from there, once you've named your character, it takes you to an intro scene, which I'll let you watch because it was really cool.
And once you've customized the avatar that you want to play in the game,
have they told you
well, then we
what
move
I
into
am?
the second phase of character creation.
Then I will sift your words for lies. Let's begin. Where were you born?
The second phase of character creation
A world of
is where
water.
you, as a person who may or may not know anything about Dune, get to make choices about who you were before the game starts. Where you come from, what caste you belong to in the Dune universe, and of course, perhaps most importantly, who your mentor was.
Who was your mentor?
Your mentor determines your starting set of skills when you enter the game.
You must have been very young. The mind must be prepared, or the training does not take. The test is almost complete. Have you spoken truth? Come here. Kneel. Put your hand in the box. I hold at your neck the Gom-Jabbar, the high-handed enemy. Don't pull away or you will die. Great plots are afoot in the Imperium, and the currents of intrigue run deeply. Arrakis is the key, and the Fremen are missing. You will go to Arrakis as our agent, prisoner. You have one task. Find the Fremen. Wake the sleeper. You will know when it is done.
And there we go, strong introduction. So we're going to skip forward a little bit now because we go over a part where they've apparently skipped something in between the character creation and the tutorial areas. So interesting, but let's go to the tutorial and see what that's all about, because in Dune we'll be getting a tutorial to start with.
As we sort of look around the cave, we'll notice that it's filled with Fremen and the remnants of, you know, this ancient culture.
Can I just say how good this actually looks on this scene? Look how incredible like the rock faces are on this intro section. It is crazy how good that looks in UE5. So I'm super excited about this game. It's done in a better engine. I mean, look at that bat as well. That looks incredible. Super exciting to see how good the graphics are so far and what we'll be diving into when it comes to this game. So this is your starting area. You start off in a cave and you have a tutorial to go through, is what they explain here. So you get to see all these dead Fremen. You're going through the cave and you're going to go and pick up your most important piece of kit to get you started, which is going to be a Frem kit, which is throughout the cave. This will give you a few things to start out with, and we're about to see a look at the inventory in this game, which is one of the things you'll be using quite a lot because, well, yes, your inventory. So here we can see them opening up. You start off with a scrap metal knife as your first kit, and immediately here we go. Here is the crafting system in the game. You can see we start off with crafting and an inventory. We also seem to have like some kind of account in there. Declan, it says in the corner. There is also a money sign there and an XP. This is probably Solaris as it's an S, and we do see that later on going on. They talk about trading hubs and stuff like that, and that is the currency of Dune. So interesting. We also see heal kit, scrap knife, and a few categories it also has in here. So far the tutorial is looking pretty neat, and there's a queue as well for stuff to craft, so woo, there you go.
These caves have been moisture sealed.
I love that says micro sandwich fabric.
As they explore, we'll be able to use their scrap metal knife to pierce the seals and escape. A lot of survival games have very abrupt, very harsh beginnings.
That is very true.
Make the experience of joining Dune Awakening just a little easier. Just give people a little bit of a feel for the world before we really toss them out into the harshness.
So that's very true. Even with their previous game, Conan, you would kind of just get thrown into it and then you just explore yourself. But it looks like in the start of this, they're actually going to give you some help on how to do a few of their very basic functions. And they even bring the climbing that has been inspired from Conan over into this game. You can jump up and everything, and it looks really good. I'm glad they brought the climbing back. I always, when I play a survival game and it doesn't have climbing like Conan does, I miss it sorely, so I'm really happy to see that they're adding that in as a thing. Either way, that is their tutorial segment. They go into the next segment, which is them showing you what happens after you finish the tutorial section, obviously.
Jumping ahead, we're going straight into the harsh real world of Arrakis. And here are your first steps on Arrakis. Your ornithopter has crashed, and you've got to escape from the crash site immediately, because the sandworm always comes.
Look how big that is. That's crazy.
And what you have to keep in mind is, these are the little ones.
The babies!
These are the first sandworms you'll encounter in the game.
That is crazy.
The other thing that you have to pay attention to as a player is sunstroke and heat. So if you see in the top middle of the UI here, we've got this sunstroke bar building up. The longer you stay in the sunlight, the more chance you have of getting into the sunstroke state. And of course, our player here, not the sharpest knife in the drawer, has decided to stay in the sun and try harvesting water from plants. So he has become sunstroked.
So this is interesting in this part of the video. You can already see this is the world you're going to be running around in and surviving in. This is your reality. Once you get the Dune opening all done, you're going to be harvesting water from plants by the looks of it, picking up resources and all sorts off the ground, just getting scraps and bits together that you can to go on your journey. So very interesting there. You can also see in the corner there's an unsheltered buff, so at some points you're going to need maybe to be sheltered or unsheltered. Maybe that will matter. There's something to do with the sunlight as well. They were mentioning if you have too much sun you drain more water, and of course in the Dune universe water is sacred, is very important, and you're going to need a whole lot of it, otherwise you're not going to live very long on a desert planet, that is for sure. But you can already see him moving around, just picking up lots of bits and pieces, which is always nice to see. And the mining mechanics in this game look insanely cool as well. Look at that, just scanning and farming out stuff as well. There's also a spice meter, so you could be tripping out. And they mention here you have to get safe when one of these happen, when you've had too much spice. Next, they go into NPC bases.
We're switching to a different character now. One who's slightly more advanced, and he's using his binoculars to mark an NPC outpost. We're going to mark that. That marker will then appear on our compass, and you're able to approach them in any way you like. In this case, our character uses a Shigawire claw combined with a suspensor belt to get up to high ground and approach the enemy base from above. Kind of one of the interesting things about Dune Awakening is just how you can combine the different abilities. And this is how traversal really plays into the game. Like, you end up being able to attack these bases from any angle that you'd like. Now, our player is going to craft the first gun in the game, known as a Mauler pistol, which translates to, the basic kind of weapon in the game. As you may know, in Dune, bullets are not the preferred type of ammunition. Instead, it's darts, which are fired at a slower rate in order to try and attempt to pierce shields. Now, this early in the game, enemies don't really have shields, so the player's going to sneak into the base from above and use a combination of their early abilities. In this case, dropping out a grenade, then sneaking around the corner, and beginning to get into NPCs head-on.
So here you get a view of their combat and how that is going to look in this game. You also get a look at some of the starting abilities you picked. So they said for this one, they picked a trooper. So that thing you would have got when you were talking to the Reverend Mother in the start is what you picked. So this person picked a trooper. There seems to be a mentor as well. They also talk about, and a swordmaster, which we're going to see in a minute. There's also another one as well in there, which looks really cool. So yeah, you have some abilities, and in this game you can use these abilities to help you out in the world. So for this guy, he has like grappling hooks, and he also has grenades he can use as well to help him in combat, which is insanely cool. The combat looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. It looks pretty decent, and I don't really have too much to say about it. I do like the fact that you can use abilities to help you out in combat. That always spices things up. Instead of just having to shoot and sword everything, you can do things like grenades, shoot in the air, all sorts, which I always find like really good, to be honest, because it spices things up. It makes it less boring, and you can be a lot more interactive. And then if something's really hard in a boss fight, yeah, it's not going to be too hard anymore if you have these things recharging. They also have cooldowns. Here's a little footage of the Swordmaster, so you can see they knee him in the face, which is great. And then he used another skill, which was like he slashed them in half. And you can see also the NPCs have melee abilities as well, so they're going to be attacking back if they can. But yeah, you definitely got to be careful here. That's your melee type character. I imagine you probably have to wear some better armor going into melee, into a gunfight. Here's a little preview of the mentor ability, I believe this is. They have a hunter seeker, so they can seek out and kill. They can also get the stats of players and enemies around them, so I think this is going to be like more of a maybe like PvP type build. They have said with this one, it's going to be beneficial to be in groups of people, especially in the harder areas. So it's going to be better to have more people on board, so you can share out and do different abilities. So you can have a mentor scan the area, and then your trooper can go in and just blast them with the grenades and all of that cool stuff, which I mean makes a lot of sense. It's going to be very beneficial if you can get maybe a team of 4 of people with different abilities doing different things, maybe out in the world of Dune.
In order to get water, the player's going to have to craft themselves this blood sack and this blood extractor and use it to harvest blood from their fallen enemies.
And this makes a lot of sense, to be honest, because in Dune, everything's sacred, even the blood in the bodies. You're shown this in the movie, so of course this is also going to be part of the game. So they're also going to explain here in just a second, it's not always the optimal thing just to drink straight up.
But when they do that, it causes a debuff, because the blood is not exactly pure, and drinking blood for water is not exactly a 1-to-1 scenario. So you'll see that our health bar got shorter while our water bar went up. And so being a blood drinker is not always looked upon in the right way. Of course, once you've played the game for a little while, you'll start wanting to build your own base.
Just want to interrupt something here while he's talking about base building. We've moved into this section. You can already see this is like a claiming area. You can see there's a blue highlight around here. So it looks like with this game, instead of Conan just building anywhere you like, you're actually going to need to put down base claims to be able to build there by the looks of it. You can also see other people's base claims around when you have this out, which is going to be interesting. I think this is going to be especially interesting if it comes into like a PvP scenario, because it's going to be a way to find bases easy. I wonder if they thought about that. I don't know. Can you imagine you just try to look for someone's hidden base, you pop that bad boy out and you can see them miles off with a big red cube around them. I wonder how that's going to work out exactly. But you can also see up in the corner over here, it looks like a slightly bigger red cube, so I wonder if there's also like red cubes around some of the interest points as well to prevent people building all over the top of them, which would be a good thing because it is does get annoying if people block off really important things, so that's good to see. Anyway, we go into the building part of this, and I'm going to quickly go over this. You can see they have a build tool. It says build, piece picker, repair, move, and demolish. Now, in Conan Exiles, they had a hammer, which allowed you to build and select pieces, and I really like this hammer. I think it's a really good way to go about doing a building system in a survival, because often or not, when you do have a building system in a survival game, it's often cluttered because you have to craft all these separate pieces in your inventory and keep pulling them out, and having a tool or a hammer as such is a great way to go about it. You can see the inside of pieces and the outside with the big yellow box. And apparently with this one, you can just place down blueprints, so if you don't have the materials for it and you just want to lay it out and see if it works, you can do that, which is insanely cool. I like the fact that that's a thing, and other people can also finish your building pieces as well if they're in your team, which is what they were explaining here. So this looks really good. They seem to have a lot of different pieces as well, and this is one of their coolest pieces as well that they were explaining in a previous video as well, in a bit more detail. This is a base blueprint, and they have said in prior videos, apparently you can trade with other players your base blueprint. So say if someone does a tutorial video on how to do a really cool base in Dune, they could sell you that blueprint with in-game currency, I assume, and you could buy it off them and just basically put it down and build it yourself without having to watch like a speed build or a step-by-step tutorial, which is kind of insanely cool. I wonder how that's going to work, if it's going to be like all over the Dune universe or if it's going to be like server by server basis. I'm kind of hoping that's going to be a thing, just, you know, like a workshop, like a Steam workshop, you can get it off and all sorts, because that would be insane if that's the case. Being able to see builds like that and putting them together, that would be a game changer for build channels, I'll tell you that.
Once you finish crafting a base, you want to fill it with all kinds of machines, fabricators, and refineries.
So you can see in here they got like decorations, different things like that. We get a little look at the blood purifier as well, which we were talking about earlier. You put blood in, and it seems like when this goes with the speed timer that you'll get less water out than you put blood in. So you'll need to put lots of blood in there to fill it up fully, the big tank. But it looks like you got like floating light bulbs, lots of different machinery, and a big old truck vehicle with treads on the right hand side. That looks insane. Here's a little look into the technology tree. That's the main bit I wanted to kind of talk about with this part. You can see they have quite a vast technology tree where you can learn things to place things down. This is going to be where you get, I assume, your armor, different things to deal with water, weaponry, and vehicles. By the looks of it is that tab. I'm not quite sure what the stars is going to be, or the circle thing. I mean, that looks like a compass, so maybe something to do with that. But you can see in this inventory part as well, you got XP 11, so maybe that's level 11, I'm not quite sure. And we got a bigger look here, so map, inventory, crafting, technology, skills, journey, and customization. I wonder if the journey thing is going to be like the Conan one, where you do different things to get more experience and level up. That would be really interesting to see. There's also a social tab you can see down there, which I assume is the whole part where you party up with people and all that good stuff. You can also see here they're showing off the vehicles. So with the vehicles in Dune, you don't just make them in your inventory and slap them out like you do 7 Days to Die. You actually have to put each piece down on the floor and like build it piece by piece.
Once we've done, we jump back in, we pull things out of the queue, chuck them into our inventory, and then we use the welding tool to place out vehicle pieces. Now again, this is a cooperative activity. We've thought about multiplayer, so any other player could be working with you to place modules and pieces of this bike. And so we're going to assemble this bike, but of course when you work on larger vehicles and your friends are with you, you'll be able to work together to craft big things like transport ornithopters or...
Now, I don't think so much so this is the pull of this system. I think the better pull of this system is you can see everything seems to have like a durability on it because there's a repair thing, right? So like if something gets broken on your bike, let's say these treads got broken or something like that, you would be able to cut them off and then like you put new ones on, which is kind of cool. So if your bike does get banged up, it looks like that is a thing you can do. There's also a customized tab, so maybe you could put like different skins on it or something like that, I imagine. like some flames or something. Or maybe that's like a thing like you do see on this one. You could put an extra chair on the back here. Maybe you could put different things on there, different parts. So like maybe bigger wheels, maybe, I don't know. Just things like that. Maybe like a windshield. I don't know. You can put all sorts on here. My point is, it makes this system very, very cool and interactable because it means you can do a lot with it, having this as a thing, which is insanely cool. It's not just like putting one thing down and that's it. You can just change things in and out consistently on your bike, which is honestly really cool. I like the fact that this is a thing and it makes vehicles very, very creative within Dune. Love that. World events as well, also a thing. They love events in Conan, so I'm not surprised to see they have brought some world events into Dune. Let's have a look at them.
And as you explore the universe, you'll find certain dynamic events will occur. In this case, the War of Assassins has claimed a new victim, a ship which falls from the sky, spilling its loot all over the sand. So we head out there to see what we can get, to harvest and gather as much as we can. Of course, the problem is, this is extremely visible to everybody in the nearby area. So people will be able to see this. And so in a PvP area, you might suddenly find yourself coming into competition with other players. In a PvE area, you might just find other people competing with you to get to the loot first. And of course, at night time, there are different kinds of threats. Because while the heat of the day is dangerous, at night, the Sardaukar patrol this area of the desert with huge spotlights, searching for players. Now this player is over here, harvesting dew with a dew reaper, sucking the water off the surface of these plants. And they've been captured and seen by the Sardaukar. And the Sardaukar send down troops who come floating down out of the sky to attack and destroy the players.
And that looks pretty insane. So it looks like in the nighttime, even if the sun's gone, you're still not going to be safe. You'll be safe from the sunlight burning you, but you're not going to be safe from, well, the Sardaukar coming after you and trying to kill you. So you're probably going to have to dip behind cover, try and avoid these lasers and lights and spotlights coming down onto you. Unless you want to fight, then with these type of things, you can create battles if you want them, which is kind of insane. So maybe if you want some loot from these guys, you could force an interaction there by standing in the spotlight, which is pretty cool.
Now, of course, as mentioned, traveling on the surface at any time risks drawing a sandworm. But there are certain things which we've created to draw players out of their comfort zones. So in this case, there's a special type of sand here on the surface, known as flower sand. Flower sand, according to the books, is the softest kind of sand, and players can use it to refine it into a variety of different materials that they need for crafting. So you want to come out into the desert and you want to try and find flower sand, but you have to be wary and pay attention, because as you harvest, you risk drawing the attention of the sandworm.
Now this is insane and also really mean. So they are making you go out into these sands, which are terrifying, with huge worms, to farm resources that you are going to need. That is insane. That is terrifying. I love it. I love it. So mean. Oh, that's beautiful though. You should be farming resources and then suddenly, brr, worm. And let's have a look at this. This is insane, this next part they show off here. You just be chilling out, farming away, grabbing the sand that you need to build whatever you need to build. And then suddenly you're here.
We've awoken.
The worm.
The sandworm is coming. We spent too much time out here and it's coming to get us. Now you can see in the middle of the screen the indicator showing us that the sandworm is angry and it's coming after us. And our only option
That's terrifying.
is to get back to rock. The sandworm's going to take us.
That's so close! Oh my goodness, what the heck?
I don't know how these guys survived that, but somehow they managed to get to
Oh, that is actually insane how big, excuse me, how big that is. That is so scary. So yeah, you're gonna have to go out of there, farm stand in the terrifying worm-infested fields and have this big ass thing chase you. That is wild and crazy, and I love it because it makes you go out into the danger to get things that you need.
Once you've crafted your first ornithopter, you'll be able to take to the air and your entire perspective of the world shifts.
I love the look of this flying system.
Traversing the world a lot safer.
It looks so smooth.
It'll also help you to go out into the larger world of Arrakis. Here we are in the Overland Map, and we're going to make our way south until we find the place known as Harko Village. Harko Village is the current seat of the Harkonnen, after their city, Carthag, was destroyed in a nuclear explosion during the War of Assassins. There's more details like that in the lore of the game for players to discover and explore.
So this looks insane, and one thing this does, if you can fast travel like this or fly around the map in this kind of like top-down spaceship looking thing that looks like a completely different game, is it means like if they wanted to add more onto the game, like DLC or stuff like that, then they could do that, and then all they need to do is put in this system and make you just fly there to get to the point you need to, which is really cool. I'm wondering how much you can do in this flying area and go to places. Maybe there's other villages apart from Harko, maybe in there. But we're going to see with this one, it's really cool as it is like a trading social hub that you meet with people and make friends or enemies or what else. Let's have a look at this.
Once you arrive in Harko Village, you'll be able to meet up with other players, interact with them, trade, and create guilds. The game has a variety of social interaction mechanics, from emotes to grouping to a chat. Throughout Harko Village, you'll also interact with story characters, follow the main story. You'll be able to meet vendors who will sell you exotic items.
They let you live. That is interesting.
So you can see in here you can buy things, and here's where this Solaris, however you call it, comes into play. You can see you have that money in the corner and certain things that you can afford. You can see some of the things as well. So aluminium, or aluminum if you're American, steel, different weapons like that you can buy for a lot of this Solaris. You're going to need to earn quite a lot of Solaris. You can also, though, if you see up here, sell things. So there is additional ways to earn the currency by the looks of it, and that's really good while you're here.
You were able to get a feel for how the factions are viewed in the world, and of course, you'll be able to swear allegiance to one of the major factions, the Harkonnen or the Atreides. Swear your guild's allegiance and begin to take part in the politics of the Empire.
So it looks like here what they're explaining, they say the Harkonnens or the Atreides. So it looks like you have a choice of two in this game. There's a lot of different houses in Dune and the whole universe, so it looks like for this one they're going with the main two and the ones you, I guess, see in the movie the most as well, which is Atreides and Harkonnen. So it looks like you get to pick a faction or a side, and then maybe something happens more with that. Of course, they say this game and well, the franchise, it has a lot of politics in it, so maybe there'll be something to do with that. That sounds interesting, and I wonder what you'd be able to do with it. Testing stations, though. Dungeons.
Once you've grouped up with friends, you should go out into the world and find Desert Imperial testing stations. These are dungeon-like experiences, which you and your friends can work through together. So here we are landing our various ornithopters outside of one of the desert testing stations, and we're going to head in as a group. Now, it's really important to prepare different skills and abilities. These areas tend to be more of a challenge, and it's great to work together to complement each other.
Here you go. Here's a look at the skill tree, which is really good. Hang on, let's just mute this and have a look, because I can see... Here we go. You can see Mentat. I'm going to assume that is Swordmaster there. And then you have... There's like a planet here. I don't think we saw this one. So maybe that's something else. There's also a shield and something else. So it looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different skill trees you can do in the game, which is interesting. You see you get skill points, and you can assume, well, you use these to get different skills on the trees. The trees look interesting. It looks like there's several different parts to this. I wonder how that correlates with all that, but it does look interesting, the Mentat tree as well. And here we go, abilities and techniques. So they're shown with this one, use the scan of nearby characters and objects. Enemies will show their archetype and traps. So this looks like something you can do with their hotkey, like we saw with the grenades. Actually, I think we saw the symbol actually earlier in game. So that is interesting to see, that's the thing. And there's also techniques, which I'm wondering what that is going to do. Will they show it here? No, they're not. And look at that. Yep, Sword Master. They're showing off that tree. Knee charge. We already seen that and all that. And let's see. Yeah, you can equip these. You can have 3 active abilities by the looks of it and switch out. If you want unequip, re-equip, which is good stuff. And then they just go in. So we don't get to see what the other tree was. Maybe some extra nice bits for your character, and then they go in as a team to defeat this dungeon.
Testing stations have storylines as well as enemies to fight and loot to be found. So you really want to go in here and enjoy the experience.
You can see there's a shield as well on that player.
Working together, using different weapons and trying out different techniques. Now this player has placed out a...
Oh, that's insane. That's like a Destiny 2 Titan cover right there.
Here have shields. Using the flamethrower, it's easy to get through a shield because you can burn the air around them.
Looks like I know what my weapon of choice is going to be.
And of course our characters are a little higher level than they were in the start of this video. So you're able to see that, yeah, we can take people down a little more easily. The
combat definitely looks interesting. Looks like there's good variety here.
These really cool loot chests.
Was there like a purple band there? Identification band.
Used for crafting exotic weapons and items.
Ooh, very nice.
The end game of Dune Awakening takes place in the deep desert.
So this one, with like most survival games, to be honest with you, their end game tends to be PvP, and I think this one is no different with this one. So you'll be going into this area and doing some PvP to get some spice, which is going to be like your main currency as it is in Dune. But watch out how this goes, because this looks insane. There's also looks to be a sandstorm in the background, so that looks insane. Giant whatever's going on over there
will happen, drawing players from all around to try and harvest the spice as quickly as possible. You want to get there first, and you want to try and take as much spice as you can before an enemy guild shows up. So
here's what's going to be bringing you back to the game.
Now, of course,
this is what you'll be doing to keep it going.
If you start to lose the battle, you might place out a thumper, and that limits the time in which people are able to take spice, because then the big worm is going to show up.
The fact that they have this as a thing is insane, and the fact that this fits in a game world is insane. Look how big it is. That is nuts. I love the fact that they found a way to add like the big worm as well, which is crazy how huge that is in comparison. So that's really cool. That's going to be endgame content. I wonder how that's going to work in the open world type area type thing, or maybe it's a thing like you saw when you travel to Harco Village. Maybe there's something with that, I don't know. But either way, that is the whole thing. I'm really excited for the game. It looks really good, the systems, and that the combat looks decent. I look forward to what this game is going to deliver and different parts in it as well. I also noticed in the video there's like a compass, and it shows you like different points on the compass as well. Like when they visited that village thing, it showed different vendors by the looks of it with S signs on the compass, which is nice. So there you go. I'm looking forward to the game. It looks super interesting. It looks different. And yeah, of course, from a game that loves sand, here comes another game with more sand. Welcome to Dune Awakening. Either way, if you like the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more Dune content, as we'll be covering it when it comes out. It is coming out, by the looks of it, in the new year very soon. So early 2025 is what they've said. So super exciting. I can't wait to get my hands in it, and we'll have a look at it, we'll review it and all that good stuff. So if you guys want to see that when it pops up, make sure you look at it before you buy it, all that good stuff. Either way, that's all from me today. Thank you for watching. Love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.